My name is George Runkle, and my company is Runkle Consulting Incorporated. One of the services we provide is the design of buildings made from repurposed shipping containers. And today I'm going to talk about one we're working on right now. It's a vacation home for up in the mountains of West Virginia. And we'll cover how we're designing it, what features it has, and what makes it interesting as opposed to some of the other projects we're doing. So let's get started. This house is based on, is made from an existing cabin that's out in West Virginia, and that is in this interior area. I'm not showing the cabin itself. I'm showing the containers that we added on. We've got containers, a stack of 2 high, 2 wide containers on the side, and then we're running 1 container at each level in the back, and then putting on a roof that's made of 2x10s, and this long span is going to be wood I-beams, or what we call down here TJI beams. Kind of TJI is a brand name, so it's kind of like calling face tissues Kleenexes or a cola Coke. Anyway, what makes this one a little bit interesting is what we're going to use to hold these roof rafters up here as logs, 12-inch diameter logs, and they did the calculations. They can carry quite a bit of weight. One of the difficulties we're going to have on site, though, is how we actually make this connection between the 6x6 that I've got here as a post and the log. I'm thinking of notching into the log, but then how do I make a positive connection? I'm not quite sure yet. I'm thinking possibly using a post base as a post cap to attach into here. Possibly we can notch into the log, put the post base up here, and then attach it to the post. Haven't decided yet, though. A lot of this stuff you kind of have to draw out before you really know what you're doing. Now, we also have an interesting thing here is I've got a cantilevered balcony that comes across, and it's made from shipping container bottom rail, then the corrugations, and then what I did is I put on top a 2x4 hollow steel section to stiffen it up. It comes out, this helps a lot with using the corrugations here, because it's turning this beam across here into something that can help support the load of the balcony. So let's take a look at some of these plans here, and we'll go here to let's start with foundation plan. That's always easy. And here's our foundations, and the foundations for the containers themselves are going to be 5x5 feet, and then I've got an additional subwall that we're putting. We have originally a subwall around here around the original cabin that's made out of masonry, and then what I'm doing is I'm adding on an additional part of the basement using poured concrete for the subwall. And let's take a look at our side here, what we've done, and this is how we're making this all work. I've got to put a beam under the end of the containers so I can have the middle part hanging free. And then let's take a look over here, and then I've got on top of the posts a steel plate that will now set the container corners on side. I made the steel plate a good size larger than the container corner castings, because it's kind of difficult when you're setting the container in place to get it in the right place as you're setting it with the crane. So I wanted to give us a lot of room to deal with as we're setting that first layer, and then we can pull, once you set them in place on top of this plate, you can pull them into position. And I made this plate an inch thick so it could take the abuse of when this casting is being dragged across the top here. So let's go on to the next level here, and that's going to be the first floor. And we have our stairways that go up to the second floor, and there's a walkway above. And here's a wall where the balcony cantilevers over. There's really, I mean, to me, this is just a house as far as what's being inside of it. We have, let's take a look here at 3D, just show you how interesting this is. Oops, sorry about that. Always opening up. I'm trying to turn this. We've got this all open here. Now, what's important is the architect, Kelly Davies, left me this corrugations here at the bottom, which that allows me some good structural material to stiffen up this bottom rail. And that means I don't have to do anything to the bottom rail. I'm going to be adding a tube to the top here where they're going to be putting the windows, because I'm going to need to stiffen the top of this corrugations. That's one of the things that will be done as we finish up. Also, if we take a look inside here, you see this gap between the wall below. Well, actually see the gap between these two columns here. I'm adding a beam in between there. I just haven't put it in yet. It's not going to stay looking like that. All right, so let's go up to the second floor. And here we have this cantilevered balcony that comes out. And I've got it supported by using channels, steel channels that are attached over here to the bottom rail of the container, come across the wall, and then are attached to this repurposed bottom rail of a container with the corrugations. And then we have all the different rooms and stuff in here. This is a little bit clearer with what we've got happening inside. And then this right along the front is going to be a, I guess we'd call it a curtain wall across here, or storefront. And then there's the 6x6 posts that will be supporting it. They're going to be wood posts. And again, we can see this if I go back to the 3D. I don't have the storefronts drawn in there. The architect will be working on that part of the project. Okay, now the roof framing is the last part. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Roof framing. The original idea the architect had was using wood I-joists all across, but I really found I didn't need them. I could use dimensional lumber, and dimensional lumber is going to be significantly cheaper than using the I-joists. I did need to use the I-joists to make this huge span across what will be the living room, great room, whatever you want to call it. Even though they're setting on these logs, I didn't want to get into having to splice the joists at any of these logs, because I'm really not sure how I would do a good connection there to the log underneath if we had a splice in the roof rafters over top. Again, I'm still not sure what I'm going to do as far as setting these down on the roof rafters. I mean on the logs. One of the issues that we're going to find is that the logs are going to be of varying widths, diameters from one end to the other. And they're not going to be regular diameters. So again, I think I'm going to have to do some sort of notching to make this work. I don't know yet. As I said, I'll be working that out tomorrow. All right, and that is pretty much where we're at right now on this job. It's still under design. Just let you know whose building this is. This is a personal vacation home for an architect that I worked with on the Seabox project in Washington, D.C., which was a 3-story apartment building for student housing outside of Catholic University. Kelly Davies was the project architect on that. Now this will be her personal vacation home that I'm working with her on. So, thanks for joining me, and if you like this video, please give it a like below, and please subscribe to this channel, and I'll be adding projects as I work on them. And thank you for joining us today.